She told her guests she had cancer, but what she really wanted was for them to eat and die. On July 29, 2023, Australian mother Erin Patterson invited her estranged husband's family over for a special home-cooked meal. She said she was scared, that she needed the people she loved most around her, that she had something important to tell them. What she had prepared was their deaths. Leongatha, Victoria, Australia, a quiet farming town an hour southeast of Melbourne. Population less than 6,000 people, the kind of place where nothing ever happens, until it did. Erin Patterson was, by every appearance, an ordinary mother. Smart, warm, devoted to her kids. Nobody locked their door around Erin Patterson. Nobody thought twice about eating her cooking. That was her greatest weapon. But behind closed doors, Erin's world was unraveling. Her marriage to Simon Patterson had collapsed after years of bitter splits. Arguments over child support, over money, over a family she felt had turned against her. She posted messages online criticizing her in-laws. She felt excluded, pushed out, forgotten. She decided to do something about it. 3 months before the lunch, Erin drove to the small township of Loch, where death-cap mushrooms had recently been spotted, growing under oak trees. She didn't stumble across them by accident. She had seen a post about them online. She knew exactly what they were and exactly what they could do. Death-cap mushrooms. Amanita phalloides. One of the deadliest organisms on the planet. A single cap contains enough toxin to kill a grown adult. They destroy the liver silently, and by the time symptoms appear, it's already too late. Ground into a fine powder, they are completely undetectable in food. On the same day, her phone placed her near that site. Erin Patterson bought a food dehydrator. She picked the mushrooms, dried them into powder, and waited for the right moment. The invitation went out in mid-July, a special lunch, adults only, no children. She had something important to share. She had cancer, she told them. She was scared. She needed advice on how to break it to her kids. She didn't have cancer. She never did. Prosecutors later argued she had planted the story weeks in advance, mentioning a mysterious lump to make the diagnosis seem real. She wasn't worried about being caught in the lie later, because she never expected her guests to live long enough to catch her. She invited Simon's parents, Don and Gail Patterson, both 70. Gail's sister Heather Wilkinson, 66, and Heather's husband Reverend Ian Wilkinson, 68. She invited Simon himself. Simon pulled out the night before. Something felt off. He didn't go. That decision saved his life. Before her guests arrived, Erin dropped her children off at the cinema, away from the house, away from what she was about to do inside it. The 4 guests sat down that cold winter Saturday afternoon, unaware of what was waiting for them on their plates. Erin served individual portions of beef Wellington, beef tenderloin wrapped in mushroom paste, and puff pastry. Prosecutors said she used a kitchen scale to carefully measure out the lethal dose of death cap powder, blending it precisely into each of her guests' portions, not her own. Ian Wilkinson noticed that all 4 guests were served on gray plates. Erin's plate was a different color, a different size. Nobody thought anything of it at the time. After they ate, Erin made her announcement. She had cancer. It was serious, possibly life-threatening. She needed their guidance, their support. Don Patterson offered gentle words of comfort. Heather held her hand. Reverend Ian Wilkinson bowed his head and prayed for Erin. He asked God to protect her, to heal her, to watch over her children. The toxin was already moving through their bodies. Within hours, all 4 guests were violently ill. Vomiting, severe cramps, organ failure setting in fast. Within 24 hours, all 4 were hospitalized, livers shutting down simultaneously. Doctors were baffled. Then toxicologists confirmed it. Death cap mushroom poisoning, all 4 of them. Erin showed up at the hospital claiming stomach pain. She refused admission. Her symptoms never matched her guests, never progressed the same way. Doctors were so concerned they called police, because she hadn't eaten what they ate. And while her in-laws lay in induced comas, Erin drove to a waste recycling center and dumped the dehydrator. They weren't even dead yet. Gail Patterson and Heather Wilkinson both died on August 4th. Don Patterson died the following day, after his body rejected a liver transplant. 3 people, dead within a week of sitting down at Erin Patterson's table. The only survivor was Reverend Ian Wilkinson, the man who had prayed for Erin's health just days before. He spent nearly 2 months in intensive care before finally being discharged. He had watched his wife of 44 years die. He would carry that for the rest of his life. In the days that followed, Erin Patterson stood on her doorstep and cried for the cameras. She said Don, Gail, and Heather were some of the best people she'd ever known. She was devastated, heartbroken. She had no idea how this could have happened. But behind the grief, she was moving fast. She factory reset her phones, wiping her search history, her messages, her location data. The dehydrator was already in the landfill. The story was already rehearsed. The problem? She wasn't as careful as she thought. Police recovered the dehydrator from the dump. Inside, her fingerprints and traces of death cap mushroom toxins, the same toxins that had destroyed her guests' livers. Digital forensics recovered her deleted phone data. Her location placed her near the mushroom site on the exact day she bought the dehydrator. Her searches confirmed she had looked up where to find them. Then she looked detectives in the eye and told them she had never owned a dehydrator, never foraged mushrooms, never even heard of a death cap. Investigators pulled up her own Facebook page. Photos of the dehydrator, photos of her dried mushrooms, posted by Erin Patterson herself. Every lie made it worse. Every cover-up made it clearer. The trial began April 29, 2025. 10 weeks, 50 witnesses. Erin Patterson on the stand for 8 days. Her story? An accident. She had foraged mushrooms weeks earlier. Thought she'd used them all. Must have mixed up the batches without realizing. She loved these people. She would never hurt them. The prosecution dismantled every word of it. They pointed to the individual portions, made from a recipe designed to be shared. She switched to individual servings so she could poison each guest's plate without touching her own. They pointed to her plate. Different color, different size, so she'd never take a wrong bite by mistake. They pointed to the cancer lie, planted weeks in advance, because she never planned for anyone to survive long enough to expose it. And they pointed to the antidote, a drug that could have saved lives if administered in time. Erin Patterson knew exactly what she had put in that food. She watched her guests leave that afternoon. She never said a word. After 6 days of deliberation, the jury came back unanimous, guilty, on all 3 counts of murder. On September 8, 2025, the sentence was handed down, broadcast live around the world. Justice Christopher Beale looked at Erin Patterson and told her exactly what she was. That she had sat across from Dawn and Gail Patterson, people who had treated her like a daughter, and watched them eat their own deaths. That she had listened to Ian Wilkinson pray over her, and felt nothing. Not only did you cut short 3 lives, he said, you inflicted untold suffering on your own children, whom you robbed of their beloved grandparents. Life in prison. No parole for 33 years. She kept her eyes closed through most of it. She showed no emotion. Outside the courthouse, Ian Wilkinson stood before the cameras one final time. He said he wanted to thank everyone who helped him survive. He said he wanted to encourage people to be kind to each other. Then he went home, alone, to the house he had shared with Heather for 44 years. Dawn Patterson, Gail Patterson, Heather Wilkinson, 3 people who drove to a friend's house on a cold Saturday afternoon, sat down at her table and ate what she put in front of them, because they trusted her. She used a kitchen scale to measure out their deaths. She served them on gray plates and ate from a different one. She drove to the dump before their bodies were cold. The judge called it cold, deliberate cunning. We call it the mushroom murderer. For more shocking cases like this, follow Scream Index. Face the darkest corners of human nature, if you dare.